March 10th, 1997, Santa Ana, California. The courtroom is silent when the judge says the number out loud. 495 months. 41 years and 3 months in federal prison. At the defense table, a 30-year-old man in a navy suit barely reacts. No outburst, no tears, just a slight nod, like he's heard a bad play call and decided to line up anyway. This is Darryl Henley, former NFL cornerback for the Los Angeles Rams, UCLA All-American, honor roll student, son of a strict church-going family from Southern California, and now federal inmate. His crime isn't just drug trafficking, it's something darker. He has just admitted, on the record, that he tried to have a federal judge and his ex-girlfriend murdered. The same judge who sentenced him. The same woman whose testimony helped convict him. The reporters in the gallery scribble furiously. They came to cover a cocaine case. They're leaving with a murder-for-hire plot straight out of a mob movie. How does a man go from being the golden child of Los Angeles football to ordering a hit on a federal judge from a jail cell? To answer that, we have to rewind. Back to the boy who learned to fly before he ever realized how hard and how fast a fall can be. Late 1970s, Duarte, California. The Henley house is quiet, but it's not relaxed. Tom and Dorothy Henley run their home like a boot camp for excellence. Report cards are checked, curfews are enforced, drawers and ashtrays get inspected for any sign of trouble. Darryl is small for his age, but fast. The kind of fast that makes coaches lean forward on the sideline. He grows up with one message drilled into his head: you don't waste potential. Not in this family. High school. Damien High in Laverne. An all-boys Catholic school known for grades and grit. Darryl is undersized, about 5 feet 9 inches, not even 160 pounds. But he starts to build a reputation. He studies film. He asks questions. He shuts down bigger receivers by being smarter, quicker, more obsessed. To his coaches, he's the dream player. To his parents, he's proof their strictness works. To Darryl, another thought is forming beneath all the praise. The rules don't apply to me if I work harder than everyone else. 1985, UCLA, Westwood. On a campus filled with future doctors and lawyers, the football team is royalty. And Darryl Henley is one of its princes. He becomes a starter. The kid from the suburbs turns into a star at the Rose Bowl. By 1988, he's a consensus All-American, a history major. He wins leadership awards and is talked about as a role model for Black youth in Los Angeles. He's the little man who can erase receivers half a foot taller, the corner who seems to bend probability on 3rd and long. Every time he walks off the field a hero, the story in his head grows stronger. I can beat the odds. I always do. 1989, NFL Draft, New York. 53rd overall. The Los Angeles Rams call his name. Darryl signs a 4-year, $1.2 million contract. He buys his parents a house in Upland and his own place in Brea. Year 1 in the league, he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year for the Rams and becomes a starter after a veteran teammate is suspended for substance abuse. By 1992, he's one of the most promising young defensive backs in the NFL. 12 interceptions in his first 4 seasons, 4 of them in 1992 alone. From the outside, it looks like a straight-line success story, but inside, something is starting to shift. Because when you spend your whole life beating the odds, it's easy to start thinking you're above them. 1992 to 1993. off-season. The alarm clock still goes off early. The weights are still there. The film is still waiting. But Darryl doesn't always show up. Instead, he starts flying more often to Atlanta. Nights stretch later. The off-season becomes less about preparing and more about enjoying the life he's earned. Nightclubs, VIP sections, athletes, agents, hangers-on. And on the edges, another type of guy. The ones who don't play on Sundays but drive cars just as nice. The ones who seem to always have cash, jewelry, and connections. Drug dealers. Darryl is curious. Not because he wants to stand on a corner, but because he sees something else. Leverage, arbitrage, a system. In those crowded clubs, he reconnects with an old childhood friend, Willie McGowan. McGowan didn't make the NFL. He made it into the cocaine trade instead. To Darryl, Willie looks like an opportunity wrapped in nostalgia. McGowan has contacts, suppliers, distribution lines. What he doesn't have is what Darryl has in abundance: cash, clean image, respectability. Around this time, the Rams are struggling on the field. Coaching changes, losing seasons. Darryl's production is still strong, but the team isn't winning. The shine of pure football glory starts to dim. And that's when the fatal thought appears. If I can flip bodies on the field, maybe I can flip money off it. Spring 1993, Brea, California. On paper, this is a quiet suburban home bought with NFL signing bonus money. In reality, it's about to become the hub of an interstate cocaine ring. Here's how the structure works. Southern California is the source hub. Cocaine is cheaper here, roughly $12,000 to $15,000 per kilogram in the early 1990s. In Atlanta or Memphis, the same kilo can sell for up to $30,000. The margin is massive. Supplier, a man named Rafael Bustamante. Logistics, Willie McGowan and other associates. Financing and safe home base, Darryl Henley. Darryl doesn't stand on corners. He doesn't cook crack in hotel rooms. He just puts up the money. He lets his Brea home be used for packaging. He helps coordinate the movement of suitcases to the airport. If you listen to his defense years later, he'll call it something else. A loan to a friend, a bad investment, a misunderstanding. But the evidence paints a different picture. A wholesale network moving 12 to 25 kilograms per shipment, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit per successful run. Still, the operation has a problem. Couriers. Enter Tracy Donahoe. She's 19 years old, a Rams cheerleader, a part-time waitress at a local pancake house. She's also dating Darryl Henley. On the surface, it's a classic NFL relationship: star player, young cheerleader. But Henley sees more than romance. He sees logistics. Tracy is young, white, and looks like any other college student or tourist rolling a suitcase through an airport, not like a drug mule. The ring starts using her to move cocaine. Heavy suitcases packed at Henley's Brea home. Commercial flights from Ontario and Los Angeles to Atlanta and Memphis. Same airports, same routes, multiple trips between April and July 1993. Every time a plane takes off, Henley is betting his entire life. NFL money on one side, drug money on the other. So far, the gamble is paying off. But in a downfall story, the moment of maximum profit is usually the moment right before everything shatters. July 15th, 1993. Atlanta International Airport. Tracy Donahoe rolls a suitcase through the terminal, like she's done before. Inside, about 12 kilograms of cocaine, roughly 26.5 pounds, more than enough to trigger a federal mandatory minimum of 10 years to life in prison. This time, federal agents are waiting. They stop her, ask questions, open the bag. Within minutes, the perfect courier is in handcuffs. And in a small interview room, faced with the reality of spending the next decade in prison, the loyalty of a 19-year-old collapses. Tracy flips. She tells agents everything she knows. The Brea house, the suitcases, the trips, the money, and most importantly, the name at the top of the food chain, Darryl Henley. Back in California, the drugs are gone, the money is gone, and the supplier is furious. Rafael Bustamante claims Henley owes him $350,000 for the failed shipment. That anger is about to explode into something much more violent. September 1993, Rams training facility, Anaheim. It's supposed to be a normal workday. Drills, film, walkthroughs. Instead, men with guns show up. Bustamante, along with James Syons and Alejandro Cuevas, confronts Henley at the facility. They demand payment. They threaten his family. At one point, Bustamante jumps a security fence and drives away in Henley's Lexus as leverage. For a federal defendant already on law enforcement radar, this scene is insane. But what Henley does next is even more revealing. He calls the police. He tells them he's being extorted, that criminals are shaking him down for some imaginary drug debt. He pretends to be a clean celebrity victim of a misunderstanding. For investigators, the call is a gift, a federal target inviting law enforcement into the middle of his own drug dispute. This is the first sign of how warped Henley's thinking has become. He believes his status as an educated, well-spoken NFL star puts him above suspicion, that he can stand in the middle of a storm, call the cops, and somehow come out looking dry. The FBI sets up a sting, arrests the extortionists, and files charges against them. But in the process, they tighten the net around Darryl. December 3rd, 1993. A federal grand jury indicts Henley, McGowan, Bustamante, Rex Henley, Tracy Donahoe, and others on conspiracy and possession charges. The case alleges a major cocaine trafficking ring run out of Henley's Brea home. He turns himself in Santa Ana. The golden child of Los Angeles football walks into court and becomes a federal defendant. Bail is set at a staggering $2 million. And here's the part that almost defies belief. His team helps him pay it. 1994 NFL season, Anaheim Stadium. While most people under federal indictment for a multi-million-dollar cocaine conspiracy sit in jail, Darryl Henley goes to training camp. A judge allows him to remain free on bond, with strict conditions: court-appointed escorts, travel restrictions, check-ins. During the week, he meets with defense lawyers. On Sundays, he lines up against receivers like Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin. To fans in the stands, he's just number 32, a starting cornerback battling through another losing Rams season. To federal prosecutors, he's a man playing out the last games of his career in the shadow of an almost certain prison sentence. Statistically, he performs. 14 games played, 3 interceptions, 64 tackles. Solid numbers for a starting NFL cornerback. He plays his final NFL game on December 24th, 1994. The Rams' last game in Los Angeles before the franchise moves to St. Louis. The story could have ended here. Henley could have accepted a plea deal, taken a decade or so in prison, served his time, come home in his 40s. It would still be a tragedy, but a contained one. Instead, the real downfall is just beginning. Because like Icarus, the higher you've flown, the harder it is to believe you're actually falling. Early 1995, Santa Ana, California. Across Los Angeles, every camera is pointed at the O.J. Simpson murder trial. But in Orange County, a very different case is unfolding. Darryl Henley's drug conspiracy trial begins. His legal team is high profile. One of them, Roger Cossack, serves as a TV legal analyst for the O.J. case while defending Henley at the same time. The defense story is simple. Henley is a model citizen, a victim of a racist system, a loyal friend unfairly dragged into something he didn't understand. They claim signatures were forged, that he merely loaned money, that his only crime was being too trusting of childhood friends. And there is racism in this trial, but not where you might expect. Inside the jury box, misconduct is rampant. One juror openly uses racial slurs to describe the defendants, predicting they will hang. Another admits to using methamphetamine daily during the trial. A third juror tries to sell his vote, showing up at Henley's home and hinting that $25,000 could buy an acquittal. Years later, appellate courts will look at this mess and overturn sentences for several co-defendants. But right now, in 1995, none of that has happened yet. All that exists in this moment is the weight of the evidence. The seized 12 kilos in Atlanta, phone records, testimony from Tracy Donahoe, the girlfriend turned courier turned cooperating witness. March 28, 1995. The jury returns guilty on all counts. Henley is convicted of conspiracy to possess and distribute cocaine. Given the quantities involved and his role as a leader, he faces a guideline range that could easily stretch to 20 years or more behind bars. Jurors later admit something that never shows up in the official paperwork. They still don't understand why he did it. It made no sense, one of them says. They saw the same split everyone else did. The scholar athlete, the family man, the NFL star, and the drug trafficker. Most people, faced with that kind of verdict, go through stages: shock, bargaining, acceptance. Henley skips the last one. Metropolitan Detention Center, Los Angeles, late 1995. Henley sits in a cell, waiting for sentencing. His NFL career is over. His reputation is destroyed. His freedom is hanging by a thread. He does not turn inward. He does not decide to rebuild. He gets angry. That anger focuses on two people: Tracy Donahoe, the cheerleader whose cooperation helped convict him, Judge Gary L. Taylor, the federal judge who presided over his trial. Henley convinces himself he's been robbed, that the corrupt jury, the racist comments, the media circus, everything adds up to one thing. He's the victim. And if he's the victim, then extreme countermoves feel justified. The first step is small, at least on the surface. He bribes a corrections officer named Rodney Anderson to smuggle a cell phone into his cell. A phone in federal lockup changes everything. It means access to family, to friends, to the outside world. But Henley isn't just calling home. He's looking for someone who can do something darker. Through another inmate, Henley gets a name, a man back east, allegedly connected, someone who, for the right price, can arrange problems to disappear. On the phone, the man introduces himself as Joey Gambino. He claims to be a mafia soldier out of Detroit. Henley doesn't know that the man on the other end of the line is actually DEA Special Agent Mike Bansmer, working undercover. Every call is recorded. Every word is evidence. But in Henley's mind, this is just another negotiation, another chance to outsmart the system. Joey offers him a package deal. 1, a heroin trafficking operation from Los Angeles to Detroit that could net about $1 million in profit. 2. Contract killings for 2 targets, Tracy Donahoe and Judge Taylor. The price tag? $100,000 for the murders. Henley doesn't have that kind of money anymore, so they work out a horrifying compromise. The hit fees will simply be deducted from Henley's share of the heroin profits. On tape, Henley agrees. He gives details that could help locate both Donahoe and the judge. He authorizes, in his own voice, the assassination of a federal judge sitting on the bench of the United States. In Greek myth, this is the moment Icarus flies closest to the sun. In this story, it's the moment a former NFL star decides that killing a federal judge is a reasonable next step in his legal strategy. June 1996. The U.S. government unseals a new case. This time, the charges aren't about cocaine. They're about murder. Conspiracy to commit murder. Solicitation of murder. Heroin trafficking. Bribery of a federal official. Henley isn't alone in the indictment. It includes his girlfriend Kim Taylor, the mother of his child, Elisa Denman, and others tied to a plan to purchase 55 pounds of cocaine from undercover agents. The full picture, from the government's point of view, now looks like this. A star NFL cornerback financed and helped run a multi-state cocaine ring. When caught and convicted, instead of accepting responsibility, he bribed a guard, smuggled a cell phone, and tried to arrange a heroin deal whose profits would pay for the murders of a key witness and the judge. Even in the world of drug conspiracies, this stands out. It's no longer just a case about narcotics and money. It's about whether a famous athlete tried to kill a sitting federal judge. Henley, once again, faces a choice. Fight everything, risk a life sentence, possibly even the death penalty. Or take a deal. This time, there's no 10-year floor and 20-year ceiling. The stakes are existential. October 1996. In federal court, Darryl Henley stands before a judge and does something that would have been unthinkable just a few years earlier. He pleads guilty. Not just to the drug conspiracy, to solicitation of murder, to heroin trafficking, to bribing a federal guard. And he agrees to one more crucial condition. He waives his right to appeal the original 1995 drug conviction, even though everyone now knows the jury in that case was poisoned by racism, drug use, and attempted bribery. In exchange, the government takes the death penalty off the table and offers a total sentence of 41 years and 3 months. When the judge asks if he understands what 495 months means, Henley says, "Yes, sir." On March 10, 1997, the sentence becomes real. 20 years for the cocaine case, 21 more for the murder and heroin conspiracy, served back to back. While appeals courts later overturn convictions or reduce sentences for several co-defendants, McGowan, Bustamante, Gary West, because of the jury misconduct, Henley stays exactly where he is. He traded his right to challenge a broken trial for a deal that would keep him in prison through the prime of his life. Had he done nothing more than accept the original drug verdict, there's a very real chance he would have walked out of prison years ago. Instead, his attempt to beat the system ensured he'd never escape it. That's the Icarus pattern in its purest form. It wasn't the first crime that destroyed him. It was the belief that he was too special to face the consequences. ADX Florence, USP Marion. Names whispered in prison as the worst of the worst. Henley spends chunks of his sentence in some of the harshest facilities in the federal system. Over the years, his custody level drops. He's eventually moved to lower security prisons. He earns degrees. He tutors other inmates for their GED exams. As of now, he's in his late 50s. His projected release date is March 28, 2031. He'll be 64 years old. He's eligible for parole a little earlier, in 2029, but nothing can give him back the decades already gone. His co-conspirators are free. The cheerleader who carried the suitcases served about a year in a halfway house. Henley remains locked up, not just because of the war on drugs, not just because of harsh sentencing laws, but because at every critical junction, he chose the path that went deeper into the fire. He chose to believe he was the exception. If you look at Darryl Henley's story from the outside, it's tempting to put it in a simple box. Another athlete who got greedy. Another cautionary tale. But the truth is more complicated. He didn't grow up in poverty. He wasn't abandoned. He had parents who cared, schools that pushed him, coaches who believed in him. He earned a degree from UCLA. He made it to a league only a tiny fraction of players ever reach. He had everything we tell young people to chase. And still, he threw it away. Not in a single moment, but over and over again. When he decided that drug dealers in Atlanta were just entrepreneurs with better margins. When he turned his Brea home into a stash house. When he put a 19-year-old cheerleader on a plane with 12 kilos in her suitcase. When he called the police on his own drug debt, convinced he could talk his way out. When he bribed a guard and dialed a man he believed could kill a judge for him. Each time, there was another exit ramp, another chance to tell the truth, to stop flying higher. Each time, he chose to go up instead. The lesson isn't that success is dangerous. It's that success, combined with a deep belief that you are different, that you can outrun the rules everyone else has to follow. That's when the wings start to melt. Darryl Henley was the scholar and the smuggler, the all-American and the would-be assassin. In the end, his downfall wasn't an accident. It was a journey, step by step, choice by choice. And if you want more stories of careers flipped in an instant, watch the downfall of Sharon Moore, the day a former Michigan football coach held his ex-employee and mistress at knife point, the same year he made $6 million. And for a fall just as sharp, but built on desperation, check out the rise and collapse of Travis Henry, the NFL running back who tried to become a drug kingpin and lost everything.